Hey guys, what's up? Pixel saying in today's video I'm giving you a prestige tier list on Evil Dead the game. So I'm going to be judging it on who is like the most worth to prestige in the game, you know, with the best abilities and stuff. And I've also got the game open, so if I do take a pause or anything like that, it's because I'm looking at the abilities just to remember the exact percentages on the abilities themselves. But let's begin anyways. So the first one is Amanda. So Amanda actually gets a nice cooldown at prestige level 5 on her active ability, which is, you know, it gives it a 9-second duration, and it has an 85-second cooldown once it gets to prestige 5. But that is a long time to get a prestige 5 on Amanda. So her first prestige is actually really bad. The consecutive hit damage is only at 3% if you prestige her once. It only goes up by 1%. So at the moment it's 2%. If you prestige her, it is at 3%. So, you know, going on that information, you know, her active ability 1 is actually really good. So for me, I'm going to put her around B tier just because of her active ability 1 being so good, having a 9-second duration and only an 85-second cooldown. Combine that with quicker cooldown. Obviously, you're going to knock off about 9 seconds with that. So then it's only going to have like a 76-second cooldown, which, you know, it's going to allow you to use the ability a lot more frequently. And it's going to be really strong on a character like Amanda, where, you know, I always rate Amanda as like the worst survivor in the game. But with the prestige, it actually bumps her up a little bit. But yeah, it's a solid choice if you want to prestige Amanda. But, you know, be wary, you have to get a prestige level 5 for that, for you to get a decent use out of her ability. So the next one is David. So David got absolutely shit on with this prestige update. Originally, you know, with his Shemps, or his soda pop ability, sorry, the damage reduction was 30%, so they nerfed that to 20%. And if you prestige him once, it goes up to 23%, so you don't even really get him back to what he was before the prestige nerf. And also it has an extra 2-second duration. For me, that's just not great at all. It's a pretty bad prestige upgrade, if you ask me. It should at least be 25%. I don't know why they only put it up by 3%. It's a bit ridiculous. And of course, unlocking it at prestige level 5 is his Beacon of Hope buff. It gets an extra 10-second cooldown, so it goes to 110 seconds from 120. The fear reduction speed goes up to 3, which again is not too bad, and it has a 33-second duration. So, you know, it's sort of decent, but for me, it's about a C tier type of prestige because I just don't think that's worth going for at all. I wouldn't put him as one of my front runners to go for prestige first at all, so I think C tier is a solid choice for that. Okay, so for Mia, Mia actually has a pretty solid one, and I kind of like her. So her fear threshold stays the same at prestige level 1, but the maximum damage goes up to 45%. So, you know, the higher your fear is on Mia, obviously the higher damage is going to put out. So 45% is an extra 5%. To be honest, I would have preferred the prestige to be on her blood rain instead of her fear threshold, because the blood rain is her best perk, honestly. I really like this perk. You know, it converts the amount of damage done into bleeding damage of 10%, and it has a 5-second duration on that as well. So you're always getting like an extra whatever damage you hit for 5 seconds. So you're obviously getting a you know, basically free damage on a unit, especially against boss units. It's really nice. So I would have liked to see that prestige. I'm not really a huge fan of the feelies that angle one. It's sort of decent, but I really like the prestige level 5 one. So the prestige level 5 one gives her a 28-second duration on her active ability, and it goes up to a nice 25% melee damage. It was 20%. The fear increase per second stays the same. However, the fear reduction per kill goes up to 9 instead of 8. So it makes her a lot more viable of a choice once you do get her to prestige level 5. And not only that, you do get the 5 skill points as well. So for me, I'm going to put that in B tier, just higher than Amanda's skill, because I think that is a really solid upgrade for that character. So the next one is Hunter Ash, and I don't even really need to look at Hunter Ash's, but just to give the actual numbers, then we can do that. So prestige level 1, he gets a 25% buff to his double barrel mastery. It is originally 20%. Dismemberment goes up to 25%, balance bar goes up to 25%, and the reload speed goes up to 25% as well. So that's a really solid one. However, this is this better one. So unlocks at prestige level 5 is the Exorcist buff. So infernal energy reduction goes up to 25% on a unit that isn't a basic unit. So that's pretty good. And it actually goes to an 85-second cooldown from 90 seconds, which I think is really good as well. So Again, you're going to be able to shave off around 9 seconds for that with quicker cooldowns, so that way you can use it a lot more frequently again. So, you know, that's going to go to, again, about a 76 second cooldown, which is really, really good for this character. So, for me, his prestige is S tier. I think he has the best prestige in the game, the best prestige upgrades. So I think, you know, if you're looking to who prestige first, you know, you can use this as a baseline. Definitely Hunter Ash is one that you should be looking at to prestige. The next one is Ed. Ed, I'm not really a fan of his prestige, so again, it's crossbow mastery. I know they've upgraded the crossbow a little bit in the last update. I haven't really had a chance to use it yet. But, you know, goes from 5% to 10% damage, which is decent. 25% dismemberment, 25% balance bar, and 25% speed reduction as well at prestige level 1. So it is a decent one. It's nothing too bad. And you also get an extra duration on It's a Trap at prestige level 5. So that goes up to 45-second duration from 40 seconds. And the cooldown goes, actually only shaves off 5 seconds. I thought it was going to shave off a lot more than that. Unfortunately, you know, it's only a 5 second off the cooldown. You're going to have to grind that quite a lot. So for me, I'm probably going to put that around, you know, like high C tier if it lets me. Low B tier, high C tier. It's not amazing. You know, crossbow mastery, I'm not a huge fan of that in the game. And I'm not saying Ed's a bad character at all. He is a decent character. But in terms of the prestige and the rewards for that, I just don't think his is viable enough at all compared to other characters. So the next one, of course, we have is Kelly. Kelly, again, is a pretty decent one. So her counter shot, which is her, you know, dodging and then hitting, so it gets a bleed damage. So that actually goes up to 30% at prestige level 1. And it also has a 12-second duration. So that's a pretty decent buff on Kelly if you do decide to prestige her. But I do like her prestige level 5 one, which buffs her active ability up. Gives it a 12-second duration, so that's infinite dodges for 12 seconds, which is really good. Range bleed damage as well. It stays at 25%. The bleeding duration stays at 5 seconds. However, the cooldown goes all the way down at 55 seconds as well. So that's really good. If you do combine this with quicker cooldown, you're only going to save 5 seconds, but that'll knock it down to about 50 seconds every time you can activate this ability, which again for me is quite a strong upgrade on a character, especially, you know, since dodging is, you know, more important than ever on this game. So for me, I'm probably going to put that just higher than Amanda's active ability there. In between Mia and Amanda, I think it belongs there on the tier list. So the next one is Annie. So let's have a look at Annie. Okay, so Annie's prestige is actually pretty decent. It's nothing amazing, but, you know, it's something that you could work towards if you like. So Howitzer gets a buff. So Howitzer gives you and your teammates 25% range damage, sorry. But once you prestige it, it goes up to 30%. So that's a nice little buff there. But her active ability one's actually pretty decent as well. That further buffs it up to 35%. From 30% on the active ability. The duration goes up to 17 seconds instead of 15 seconds, and the cooldown goes down to 40 seconds as well. Again, it's something that you could look towards prestige in Annie. I don't think it would be a bad choice if you prestige her. So for me, again, I'd say that's relatively B tier, just above Amanda's there. I think it is a good one, especially if you're running a team of hunters or something. But for Annie, I think it is a solid choice. Unfortunately, her balance bar has got nerfed a little bit. I would have liked to seen possibly Haymaker or something get a buff off the prestige, but, you know, it is still a decent prestige character there. The next one that we're going to look at is El Jefe. So El Jefe, for me, has a really good one at prestige 1. Unfortunately, his prestige level 5 is really fucking bad. So prestige level 1, you know, his aura effect goes up to 20% damage and 25% fear resistance from 15 to 20%. So that's a really good one. I really like that buff, but his prestige 5 is terrible. It buffs his active ability, which is arguably the worst active ability in the game. So the cooldown goes to 25 seconds, which, you know, isn't too bad. As a 4-meter blast radius, and the balance bar goes up to 180. But again, I just don't think it's going to be a really solid choice. So for me, it's going to be like a high C tier prestige. Unfortunately, it's just not a solid prestige at all. I would have possibly liked to see El Jefe Grande buffed up or something like that. But, you know, show up and blow up, it's a terrible perk. So buffing that is just... Going all the way to prestige level 5 to buff that is just not a solid choice for me. The next one is Lord Arthur. So Lord Arthur actually has one of the best prestige upgrades in the game, and they reworked this character a little bit. They actually give him a weapon sword mastery, and they combined his melee buffs into one perk, which is really nice. And not only the melee perks buffs are combined into one perk, they combined it with him starting with a sword as well. Why they don't have this on other characters is beyond me. For whatever reason, they only did this on Lord Arthur. But anyways, his damage at the moment got nerfed down to 25%. So, but it has been combined into one perk, which is, you know, is understandable. But if you do prestige him, it goes back up to 30%. So he goes back to his standard aura buffs as well. Combine that with obviously a weapon mastery with a sword as well, which is really, really nice. So at prestige level 5 as well, he has a good one. So the cooldown goes down to 40 seconds for Lord's Wrath. It has an 18-second duration, so it lasts a lot longer now as well, which is good. The melee damage goes up to 25% as well, and a 1.1 fear reduction. So for me, it's one of the best prestiges you can go for in the game, and I'm going to put that in A tier for me. Definitely high A tier, low S tier. It is a solid prestige character that you want to look for. Okay, so the next one is Evil Dead 1 Ash. I have been working on this character a little bit for prestige because I think he is possibly the best character to prestige in support. He's a really solid choice. So at prestige 1, his damage restored, his health goes from 20% to 25%, which I think is really, really good for the character. And not only that, but at prestige level 5, he gets a 55 fear reduction from 50, and he gets an extra 5-second cooldown on his ability as well. So overall, I think it's a solid prestige. So for me, I'm going to put that in A tier as well. I think that is a really solid prestige character that you should look at prestiging in the game. You know, spending time with this character, playing him lately, he's really fun to play as, and obviously, you know, you're going to gain the benefits once you do unlock that prestige level on him, and it's really solid choice. If you do decide they want a prestige support, I'd look at this guy if I was you. So the next one is Cheryl. Cheryl's is not that great, to be honest. So prestige level 1, that one's sort of decent. You know, it gives extra healing with the coolers from 100 to 125. So it is a decent one. And unlocks at prestige level 5 as her active ability. So the healing per second stays the same. The duration stays the same. However, she just gets an extra 10-second cooldown off it. The cooldown for me is not worth it because with Cheryl, you don't spam this as fast as you can. It is nice to have it on a cooldown a bit quicker, but honestly, there's just no need for it. Most of the time, you time this when you've completed an objective, when everyone's gathered around the chest or something. That's usually when you put it down. So for me, the cooldown is just not worth it at prestige level 5. So with her only having really one prestige, I'm probably going to put that like just above David, you know, high C tier type of area. I don't think it's a great prestige, to be honest, for the character herself. Like I said, her prestige 1 is good, but prestige level 5 is really pointless, and it's just not worth going for at all. Pablo is the same. Pablo was just kind of useless in some aspects. So Legacy of El Brujo, you stays the same with 1 extra amulet. The maximum amulets increase again stays at 1. It's not worded correctly or it's not displayed correctly, but I'm not sure if the extra amulets stack on top of each other. So with the prestige, he obviously gets an extra amulet there, but I don't know if that combines with the already extra amulet that he gets with the perk. For me, I can't see that happening with the way they've done the other perks. So his extra amulets are going to stay the same at level 1 prestige. His maximum amulet increase is going to stay the same, and the teammate's shield bar restored is going to go up by 5 points, which again is just not fantastic at all. It's a pretty lackluster one. And to make matters even worse, his active ability goes down to 10 seconds. So obviously that means you can pop a shield or an amulet a lot faster. But again, we're talking about amulets here. They're not game breaking. They're not game changing a lot of the time. Unless you're playing with some solid warriors. But yeah, there's really no need to prestige this character at the moment. I don't think he's a solid choice. To be honest, I probably would like to see a buff to his shamanic protection and maybe go up to 2 full shield bars at regeneration or something like that. I think that would have been a lot better. But yeah, Pablo's isn't great, so unfortunately I'm gonna have to put that in D tier. It is not a great prestige at all. I am still gonna prestige Pablo because he's one of my favorite characters, but again, I don't see me spending, you know, hours and hours on end trying to get at that prestige level 5 on him because it's just not worth it. Obviously, you get the 5 skill points again, which are going to factor in quite a lot in terms of deciding on who you want to prestige. So for me, I think, you know, getting an extra 5 points on Pablo again is not that worth it unless you want to do an extra bit of melee damage or something like that. But anyways, let's move on. So Army of Darkness Ash. Army of Darkness Ash is the one I've spent the most time on at the moment. I have him prestige level 4. But I don't really like his first prestige. It's okay. You can notice the difference in shield blast, but it does go from 125 to 160 explosion damage. So you do notice the difference in that. It's pretty good. However, his wise man one, I think, is the most important one here. So that, you know, prestige level 5, you get the 35% damage increase, was 30%. The damage reduction goes up to 33% as well, which is fantastic. The health restored goes up to 280 instead of 250. Again, I think that's really good. And the fear reduction goes up to 35 as well. So I think that's a really solid prestige choice if you guys want to go for Army of Darkness Ash. So for me, I'd probably put that high A tier, low S tier again. I think it's a really solid prestige character in the game. So, and we're going to look at Henry the Red. Unfortunately, Henry got a bit of a nerf with the prestige update. Obviously, he got his unstoppable nerf to 100-second cooldown. However, so it unlocks at prestige level 1 is battle hardened. It goes up from a 10% to a 12% health and shield bar length increase. So that's not too bad, because if you combine that with reinforced amulet and improved amulet and obviously industrial strength, at prestige level 1, you can really make him a tank with that extra 2%. Extra 2% might not sound a lot, but percentages are the biggest key on this guy compared to anyone else in the game. Extra percentage on health on this dude is always important. So then we look at his prestige level 5. It's pretty solid, but it's worse than before he was added to the prestige system, I guess. So it's a 7-second duration, a 100-second cooldown on unstoppable. I think it's been way nerfed, like too heavily nerfed for me. Obviously, it is a clutch perk, you know, getting the free revive and stuff, but again, it's just not a solid change to the character. But if you do decide to go to prestige level 5, it goes to an 8-second duration, which, you know, I think is pretty decent. But a 95-second cooldown is quite hefty on this perk, so you are going to have to run quicker cooldown for you to get some decent use out of this. You're going to get around 10 seconds shaved off that, so it goes to around an 85-second cooldown. So you know, prestige level 5, you will have enough points to do that. So I think it is a sort of solid prestige. So for me, I'll probably put him, you know, low A tier for me. You know, he's a good character, obviously, but he was better before the prestige system come into place with the unstoppable perk being on a lower cooldown. So the next one is Scotty. Scotty, I don't think is fantastic at all. You know, he only gets a 3.3 meter impact radius with prestige level 1 with his collateral damage, but the damage to dealt to nearby enemies with his heavy attacks is pretty decent. That goes up to 15% and from 13%. So I think you will notice a little difference there with his prestige, but unfortunately they buffed up his active ability. The cooldown goes to 25 seconds and it does a 200 damage instead of 150. It's kind of made his active ability a little bit better, but unfortunately for me, it's just not a great prestige. I would have preferred to see a buff on the Lumberjack Axe weapon mastery. It is only at 5%, but, you know, we're talking about a warrior here, and we're going to want to spend time, obviously, leveling the warriors up as, you know, or prestiging a character, making it worth our while. Are you saying it's worthwhile to really get a prestige level 5 just to have an extra 5-second cooldown on Thunder Thrust and getting, you know, an extra 50 damage on it? It's probably not worthwhile at all. And most people are going to be leveling this guy up for the extra skill points at the end of the day. Even exposure therapy would have been nice to see in the prestige. You know, fear recovered by kill is at 5 right now. I would have liked to seen that, you know, maybe scope to, you know, maybe 10 or 15 with the prestige. I think that would have been really cool. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing. It's a mediocre prestige. So for me, I'm probably just going to put it like high C tier, low B tier as a selection there. So Blacksmith, I think, got the worst prestige in the game almost. You know, unlocks at level 1 is rough and ready. So your amulet doesn't break as a 50% still. Cooldown still 40 seconds. The melee damage, it was originally 15% with this perk. It has been dropped down to 10%. So with the prestige, it only goes up to 13%. Again, it's just not great at all. And the duration is 22 seconds instead of 20 seconds. Again, it's not a great perk, in my opinion, to go for prestige with this guy. And the Avenging Anvil, extra metal scraps from 5 to 15. I think that's the scraps that you can carry, or it's either the scraps that you spawn with. I haven't obviously got them to prestige level 5, but either way, I don't think that is a viable thing to go for to prestige level 5. It's absolutely terrible. So for me, Judging on that, it is the worst prestige in the game. So looking at the prestige tier list that I've done here, obviously I'm looking at this monitor because I got the game open, but looking at the prestige tier list here, I think I've done a solid job of this. Obviously Evil Dead 2 Ash, for everyone, I would say it should be the best prestige to look for. However, if you don't play Hunter, you play more Warrior, Army of Darkness Ash and Henry are always going to be solid choices there. Obviously, Lord Arthur as well for leader, I think is a really solid choice. Evil Dead 1 Ash for support definitely has the best prestige. Mia as warrior, you know, definitely high B tier, low A tier for those perk buffs that she gets. Kelly, you know, Annie, Amanda, I definitely agree them being in B tier. So just, you know, looking at my tier list, I think is a solid choice what I've done for the prestige system. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you just pay attention to this a little bit. You know, I don't want you to waste time sort of prestiging the wrong characters, and if you just want to prestige a character because you enjoy playing them, that's totally fine. But I kind of want to just put a baseline out there for people to choose a character or to understand, you know, who should I really be working towards to prestige. And, you know, looking at this, I think it is a solid option to be prestiging these characters sort of in that order as well. To be honest, Hunter Ash definitely should be a priority for a lot of people. He just gets the best benefits from prestige compared to every other survivor in the game. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave me a like, leave me a comment down below, let me know what you guys think of this tier list, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. And hit that sub button if you're new to the channel. I do stream this game Monday to Thursday, and I've been Pixels, you my awesome viewers. I'll catch you guys in the next one.